Hey listeners, this is Ajay Tambe. I've got a new collaboration announcement for you. We are coming up with new audio drama, Prisoner's Daughter, in collaboration with Indian novelist Rajan V. Kukuri. Now, back in month of February 2022, novelist Rajan showed interest in our show's audio stories and then decided to collaborate and share his one of the favorite and based on true events short story, Prisoner's Daughter. Obviously, written by Rajan V. Kukuri, this is a story of a teenage girl, Swati, who discovers that her father is still alive and serving a long sentence in Vijor jail. From last 11 years, Swati's mother, Komal, has been waiting for Das, Swati's father, to be released from prison. At the same time, Komal isn't sure if Das suspects her of infidelity. What was the reason for Das's arrest? And what will happen to him now? Stay tuned for this audio drama releasing on Foundation Day of the show, 22nd May 2022. This is the day when we released our first ever podcast episode. On 22nd May, Prisoner's Daughter is going to release. For this audio drama, we've got a cast of 6 international artists. Actor Scott Jameson, actress Breyonna.T Thomas, voice artist Michael Robbins, actress Anna Rawson, actor Mike Jones, actress Sherwin Thompson, and me, obviously playing small parts throughout the story. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe now and stay connected. Prisoner's Daughter on 22nd May 2022. Make sure you subscribe us on podcast platforms and follow us on Instagram @podcastaudios for the latest and new updates. Make sure you follow us on Instagram @podcastaudios where you get latest updates. Thank you for listening.
Marriage and love have nothing in common. There is only one good thing in life, and that is love.
Oh, Grandmama, we can only love once.
And how you misunderstand it, how you spoil it.
So, then, women have no honor?
If you believe in such folly as that, you will be very unhappy.
You are listening Valentine's Day Specials, a podcast audios exclusive. The Love of Long Ago, a French story by author 𝗪𝗏, father of short stories, featuring actresses Carla.S, Carly.H, and Breyonna.T Thomas. Let's roll it now.
The old-fashioned chateau was built on a wooded knoll in the midst of tall trees with dark green foliage. The park extended to a great distance in one direction to the edge of the forest. A few yards from the front of the house was a huge stone basin with marble ladies taking a bath. Other basins were seen at intervals down to the foot of the slope, and a stream of water fell in cascades from one basin to another. Everything seemed to speak still of ancient customs, of the manners of long ago, of former gallantries, and of elegant frivolities so dear to our grandmothers. In a parlour in the style of Louis XV, a very old woman, who seemed dead as soon as she ceased to move, was almost lying down in a large easy chair, at each side of which hung a thin, mummy-like hand. Beside her, on a tapestried stool, a young girl with long fair hair hanging in braids down her back was embroidering an altar cloth. The old lady turned her head and said,
Berthe, read me something out of the newspapers, that I might still know sometimes what is going on in the world.
The young girl took up a newspaper and cast a rapid glance over it.
There is a great deal about politics, Grandmama. Shall I pass that over?
Yes, darling. Are there no love stories? Is gallantry then dead in France that they no longer talk about abductions or adventures as they did formerly?
The girl made a long search through the columns of the newspaper.
Here's one. It's entitled A Love Drama,
she said. The old woman smiled through her wrinkles. She said,
Read that for me.
And Berthe commenced. It was a case of vitriol throwing. A wife, in order to avenge herself and her husband's mistress, had burned her face and eyes. She had left the court of assizes acquitted, declared to be innocent amid the applause of the crowd. The grandmother moved about excitedly in her chair and exclaimed,
This is horrible! Why, it is perfectly horrible! See whether you can find anything else to read to me, darling.
Berthe again made a search, and farther down among the reports of criminal cases, she read,
Gloomy drama. A shop girl, no longer young, allowed herself to be led astray by a young man. Then, to avenge herself on her lover, whose heart proved fickle, she shot him with a revolver? Oh, the unhappy man is maimed for life. The jury, all men of moral character, condoned the illicit love of the murderess, honorably acquitted her.
This time, the old grandmother appeared quite shocked, and, in a trembling voice,
Why, you people are mad nowadays! You are mad! The good God is giving you love, the only enchantment in life. Man has added to this gallantry the only distraction of our dull hours, and here you are, mixing up with it vitriol and revolvers, as if one were to put mud into a flagon of Spanish wine.
Berthe did not seem to understand her grandmother's indignation.
But Grandmama, this woman avenged herself. Remember, she was married, and her husband deceived her.
Grandmother gave a start.
What ideas had they been filling your head with, you young girls of today?
But marriage is sacred, Grandmama.
It is love that is sacred. Listen, child, to an old woman who has seen 3 generations and who has had a long experience of men and women. Marriage and love have nothing in common. We marry to found a family, and we form families in order to constitute society. Society cannot dispense with marriage. If society is a chain, each family is a link in that chain. In order to weld those links, we always seek metals of the same order. When we married, we must bring together suitable conditions. We must combine fortunes, unite similar races, and aim at the common interest, which is riches and children. We marry only once, my child, because the world requires us to do so. But we may love 20 times in one lifetime, because nature has made us like this. Marriage, you see, is law, and love is an instinct which impels us, sometimes along a straight, and sometimes along a devious path. The world has made laws to combat our instincts. It was necessary to make them. But our instincts are always stronger, and we ought not to resist them too much, because they come from God, while the laws only come from man. If we did not perfume life with love, as much love as possible, darling, as we put sugar into drugs for children, nobody would care to take it just as it is.
Berthe opened her eyes wide in astonishment. She murmured,
Oh, Grandmama, we can only love once.
The grandmother raised her trembling hands toward heaven.
You have become a race of serfs, a race of common people. Since the revolution, it is impossible any longer to recognize society. You have attached big words to every action and wear some duties to every corner of existence. You believe in equality and eternal passion. People have written poetry telling you that. People have died of love. In my time, poetry was written to teach men to love every woman. And when we liked a gentleman, my child, we sent him a page. And when the 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗃 came into our hearts, we were not slow in getting rid of the last lover, unless we kept both of them.
The old woman smiled a keen smile. The young girl, turning very pale, faltered out.
So, then, women have no honor?
The grandmother ceased to smile. If she had kept in her soul some of Voltaire's irony, she had also a little of Jean-Jacques' glowing philosophy.
No honor, because we loved and had to say so and even boasted of it. But my child, if one of us among the greatest ladies in France had lived without a lover, she would have had the entire court laughing at her. Those who wish to live differently had only to enter a convent. And you imagine perhaps that your husbands will love but you alone all their lives. As if, indeed, this could be the case. I tell you that marriage is a thing necessary in order that society should exist. But it is not in the nature of our race. Do you understand? There is only one good thing in life, and that is love. And how you misunderstand it! How you spoil it! You treat it as something solemn like a sacrament, or something to be bought like a dress.
The young girl caught the old woman's trembling hands in her own.
Hold your tongue, I beg of you, Grandmama.
And, on her knees, with tears in her eyes, she prayed to heaven to bestow on her a great passion, one soul, eternal passion in accordance with the dream of modern poets, while the grandmother, kissing her on the forehead, murmured,
If you believe in such folly as that, you will be very unhappy. You will be very unhappy. You will be very unhappy.
This was Valentine's Day special episode, The Love of Long Ago. Hope you liked our Valentine's Day specials, featuring Carla.S as voice for grandmother, Breyonna.M Thomas as Berthe, granddaughter, and Carly.H as the storyteller. To connect with our guests on social media, their social media links and handles are mentioned in the description of this episode. Make sure you connect with our guests. Hey, if you like this episode, make sure you don't forget to rate and review our show on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Your reviews are really valuable. Happy Valentine's Day. Thanks for listening. This episode was brought to you by Anna's House Shelter, a program providing women facing hardships with a safe and productive environment to get back on track to financial, mental, and physical wellness. An organization who fights against domestic violence. Visit www.𝗿𝗵𝗆𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏